Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Pals Podcast. I'm your co-host, Ricky Liordi.
And I'm Danielle Galarno.
And this week, before we get into our episode with Sam, we are going to talk about some exciting things happening in my life, Danny's life, and the world. Danny, why don't you start us off? Because last week we completely forgot about this, but there was something very important. It was the Super Bowl of reality TV show last week.
You just took the words out of my mouth because
that's what everyone says on TikTok.
Was truly... Okay, a bit underwhelming.
Well, first off, say what
in
it
this
is.
sense. So it's the Vanderpump Rules reunion. I had a little party at my house, a little watch reunion party, so that was actually a lot of fun. I had everyone come over. We made pumptinis.
What's a pumptini?
It's like a signature drink at one of the restaurants, and one of the DJ James Kennedy in earlier seasons, he gets mad at people and he's like, pumptini. So it just becomes this ongoing thing.
Sure, okay. It's one of those things you have to watch it to get it, right?
Yeah. Okay, cool. And so that was fun. We made the signature goat cheese balls that they have at all the restaurants.
Okay. Did you have it when you went to LA?
Yes. But I had the ones at Tom Tom, the ones that are apparently the best are at Sir.
Okay.
But didn't go there. But a little underwhelming in the sense that we watched so many clips beforehand. And the one thing I have to say is that everyone on the show has been on podcasts and has spoken out to people that it ruins.
Know what's gonna happen.
It ruins the excitement. Obviously, they're still great. Watching it's fun, but it ruined the excitement a bit because it's hey, I felt I already know this. There was a couple things that irritated the living hell out of us, but altogether, I'm so excited for Wednesday because reunion part 2 comes out.
Okay, what was the biggest wow factor from the first episode of the reunion? So spoiler alert, Vanderpump Rules reunion, whatever. Spoiler. Okay, what was the biggest thing that
it's not a complete it was all just talking about Scandival. You know what Scandival is, right?
That's the guy that nobody likes, right?
Well, do you know why no one likes him?
Because he cheated on his pregnant wife or something?
No. So he's been with a girl on the show for 10 years. Ariana. Okay, now I'm going to step back a second. Raquel and
This intro's going to be long.
Yeah, this is going to be long because this is my type of stuff.
Okay.
Raquel and James dated a couple years ago for 5 years, let's say. I don't know exactly their timeline, but around then. They got engaged last May. Tom helped James with the engagement, and they did a Rachella. Okay? Also, her name's Rachel, not Raquel. She's fake. They broke off that engagement right after the finale, during the reunion, right before the reunion. Broke it off. Find out this March, Tom was having an affair with Raquel, who is Ariana's best friend.
So why doesn't everybody hate Raquel then?
They do.
Oh, everyone hates Raquel too?
Despises. She's
Oh, because I only hear people hating on Tom.
No. Have you not heard Rachel?
No.
It's just Tom, they're both up shit. And Tom was friends with James.
Okay.
Raquel was friends with Ariana.
I think I just need to watch this.
But James is actually the funniest person. He's you're warm with a mustache. Have you ever seen those jokes? Or the first part of the reunion, he's poo poo head. That's why I call you every day and I'm poo poo head.
Didn't know any of this.
But it's just better because he's British. Anything he says is just so much better.
I think I'm just gonna watch it. I think
it's worth it.
Maybe this winter I'll just binge the whole thing.
Vicky was the only one. Her and Vassos were the only 2 people that didn't watch the show.
And did they enjoy themselves at the reunion party?
Yeah, I think they enjoyed more watching us get into it. Okay. Because we were screaming the whole time. But I had one rule, no questions.
That's fair.
No talk during commercials. I want to watch this. We all want to watch it. Becca was so funny. She went mute. I had to process it. And then afterwards she spoke. So it's
this
a lot.
is a big thing.
Yeah.
This really is the Super Bowl for women.
Yeah.
Not for women. For reality TV show lovers.
Yeah, for anyone. Paul T is obsessed. Okay. So he came over. He's the one who asked me to have people over.
I love this for you, Danny.
But it was a lot of fun.
And even just to preface this, I was like, Danny, we'll talk about my week, your week. I didn't really do too much this week. You had a big day, a big night for you.
Yeah, I left work early. I had to go prep. I was prepping for 2 days.
All right. There you go.
And now it's hey, week 2's now. So I'm still excited. But it's just not the same. But we just don't know what's going to happen. Apparently, there's a big shocker next week.
Of course, that's what all the commercials probably say.
Yeah, and if there isn't, I'll be pissed.
Okay.
I need some sort of big drop. They haven't even re-signed cast for next season yet.
So
because they're waiting for the drop to happen.
Okay.
Because a lot of people haven't seen it or they're just recently watching it. So some cast might not want to come back. Funny enough, I was actually like talking to a friend and they're like, who's a producer. And he was saying that there might be like more spin-offs coming from
I can see it. The show's that big, right?
Vanderpump.
It is the biggest. It's the
Not
new Kardashian
like,
show.
I'm just going to say like Vanderpump. Like I can't say details, but there's going to be some sort of spin-off. Maybe it doesn't have to do with the show. It's completely different, but
it's like the Kardashians. This is literally the biggest thing on reality TV right now.
well, it's Bravo. And like it's actually, if you watch back, because I watched back all the seasons again too, it's really trash TV. But it's like the most entertaining thing in the world.
Someone once told me reality TV shows it's like watching a train crash. You know what's going to happen. You know it's terrible, but you can't take your eyes off it.
Yeah. And it's amazing. But it's also like, it's like basically watching entertainment and drama and gossip without having to be a part of it. And you just get to judge it, which is like technically not right. But it's like, I don't have to be in their drama.
It's like you can laugh at someone else's misery.
Unfortunately.
All right, right.
But like, I want to be in it.
I was never a reality TV show person.
I was, but then during COVID, I couldn't watch like real serious shows and I needed like Fluff TV.
Yeah, that's fair.
So like that became my Fluff TV. Is just like Bravo is the best friend, like best network.
For Fluff TV.
Oh my God.
All right.
But yeah, how's your week?
Not
as exciting as mine.
Yeah, apparently not as exciting as yours. I didn't do too much. I was injured, so I didn't really get to train much. Played in a pickleball tournament, got my ass handed to me. That's always fun.
How'd you place?
We played pretty well actually, but just everybody else was better than us. That's it. There's no reason. There's no excuses. Everyone was just better than us.
So
we went 0-5. We didn't win a single fucking match.
I'm gonna like bring this back to a year ago when you were probably sitting on this podcast with George and you were like, I'm gonna go to the Olympics because I'm amazing at pickleball and I'm perfect.
I didn't say that.
Basically.
If I quit my job and trained every single day for the next 5 years, there's a chance I can make the pickleball Olympics.
But that's not gonna happen.
No, because I have a job and I need my job to afford this, to afford the stupid podcast. But yeah, so I suck at pickleball. If you don't know, I bought a team. We're going to be drafting in a couple weeks. The tryouts are this weekend, basically, in Ottawa. That's cool. Other than that, it was a very quiet week for me. I skipped mom brunch because I tweaked my neck yesterday again. It wasn't as bad, but unfortunately I missed it. And that was a Sunday fun that I really wanted to go to.
It looked like a lot of fun. Shout out to Ollie.
I'll always shout out to Ollie. And the people at Parlor, Dear Lady, the whole family.
It looked
there.
a lot of fun.
Yeah, great people. If you haven't been to Dear Lady or Parlor, highly recommend it. Dear Lady, it's fairly new, but it's open Wednesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. It's more of it gives you that New York kind of club vibe, where it's not a club with like a big dance floor, kind of like a toy box or like a circa or something like that. But it gives you the New York vibe in a sense where you still do bottle service. There's good music, good lighting, good sound, but there's a lot of places to like sit. You can go to the bar and have a drink at the bar. They have good cocktails.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, for me, because I feel like there's no like clubs anymore. You go to New York, there's no like real clubs.
Well, there is.
Marquee.
There's way more clubs there than I would say in Toronto there is right now.
It's a bigger city, right?
Yeah, but like in New York, you still have like One Oak, Marquee, 44. I think it's called 44.
There's 3.
No, there's other ones.
And then in Toronto, there's still like a good amount of like. Actually, I guess there's a handful too, right?
I just feel like the era of like clubs going more into like bar lounges, and I think that's just with like. I don't know if it's our age group
no,
or.
But then that's also like Parlor now. Parlor's that like supper club. It's more of a chill supper club kind of vibe, right? You can go there, you can have good pizza, good cocktails, and then 11 o'clock rolls around, people get up, start dancing, start mingling. Again, there's no real dance floor there, but it's just a good vibe.
Yeah.
Anyways, you guys, Dear Lady, Parlor family, Ollie, love you guys. You guys are amazing. Much love to all of you. The next big event is Hello Sunday. This is free promo, but we love you guys, so it doesn't matter. Hello Sunday at Dear Lady, at Parlor. So let me say that again. Hello Sunday at Parlor, Sunday, June 11th. So basically in 2 weeks, Shep's playing Ryan Shepherd, a 3 times we got to get Shep back on the pod that day before that episode.
Okay.
Anyway, Shep, we love you too. So check that out. And other than that, honestly, let's get into it. Let's talk about Sam. Was that your first episode back? Or no, Sarah was your first episode back?
No. Sam was my first episode back. I wasn't on camera. I was just behind, so I didn't talk a lot. Or
that was a fun one, though.
But it was really fun. He's like started a like e-commerce business, but he basically called CommerceBear. I have a little bear right here. But he basically came, like, he was always in the furniture industry. His dad was in the furniture industry, and he just wanted to kind of
put his touch on it.
And
he found a way to grow, to I guess expand on his dad's business in a different light. Instead of just making furniture himself, he decided to kind of take it another step, using tech,
it's like putting a 2022 or 2023 spin on
a family business.
And also like furniture. Like that's the one thing, like you listen to him speak about furniture and he even says like, you think it's such a dull, boring industry, but listening to him speak about it, I was like, oh my God, like I'm into this. Like, let me go, like,
and just hearing the story,
I want to go furniture shopping.
Every son of a business owner, actually not every son, but I'd say about half of them don't think they're going to follow in their father's footsteps or their mother's footsteps, right? Like I never thought I was going to go in construction. George is different because George kind of always knew he was going to go into cleaning, but George and Sam are very similar in their like mindsets too, which is interesting. So interesting I said that because George. But yeah, take a listen, enjoy it. This was a fun one. Sam, we appreciate you. This bear's actually still been in my condo since you were here about 3 weeks ago. I got the stickers on my luggage too. So we appreciate you. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for being one of the pals. And Danny, what do we say?
Let's go. Oh, I messed it up again. Okay.
So wait, you went to Dow before it was popular?
I mean, when I went to Dow, I think I was the one of two people in my entire graduating class that showed up on the East Coast and said, hey, I'm here to study. No one did it.
Wait, Dow's in
Halifax, Nova Scotia. Yeah.
I was just there.
Yeah.
How was it?
I didn't visit Dow though.
Didn't you go with your parents?
Yeah, we went for Easter.
That was the cutest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, it was. We weren't originally supposed to go because I just had a nephew. I didn't have. My brother just had a baby, so
Mazel tov.
Yeah, thanks. I have a nephew, and it was gonna be his first Easter, so we decided to stay. And then we had a death in the family, so my brother and his wife and the baby all went to Holland for the funeral. So I was like, hey, Mom, Dad, like, let's fucking go. And we decided to go on Halifax. We've never been. It was cheap. It was like dirt cheap to go out there. I think the whole trip for 3 of us. Trip, flight, hotels, everything, food, everything was like $2,000. Like all 3 of us for 3 nights, flights, hotels, everything. I'm like, that's not even one person goes to Vegas for that, half that price.
Here's the ultimate question I like asking people when they go for a first time is, would you return? That's the test, right? It's the return test.
I would not return anytime soon in the current situation I'm in. Like a single guy, going out there just to see it. I saw it. It was cool. Am I going out there again? No. But when I have a family, like I would love to take them there and just like, Pier 21 is it called?
I mean, huge. I think 1 million plus Canadians came through there.
Yeah. So seeing that, it was nice. Like it's cool to walk around. It was a good cheap trip. But would I go back again on a long weekend or like when I have a chance to plan a vacation? No, I would not.
Yeah.
Straight up.
It's a university town. It's a government town. Yeah. I haven't been back for 10 years since I graduated in 2014.
Choose Dow,
crazy story because I had committed to play soccer for the Redmen at McGill.
Okay.
And I'm super fired up to go, study in Montreal. It's close enough that I could drive home to Toronto.
4.5 hours, 5 hours.
And like, frankly, at the time, the McGill soccer team played in the Alouette Stadium. So like 18-year-old kid.
That's pretty hype, yeah.
Yeah, 17, 18-year-old kid from Toronto wants to go play it was CIS at the time, D1. Now it's called like U Sports. They rebranded.
Yeah.
Questionable rebrand, but hey. So I was committed to McGill, super fired up. And I think a family friend at a dinner put Halifax on my mom's radar. And my parents are first-gen Canadians from Amsterdam, so they don't know anything about the U.S.
Wait, so you're Dutch?
Fluently.
I didn't know that. So that's my brother's. So my sister-in-law is Dutch.
Okay.
So that's why they had to go back to Holland because it was her grandmother that passed. That's why I had no idea you were Dutch.
Yeah, I mean, born here in Toronto.
It's so funny. Anyone who says they're Jewish, you just think they're from Israel. You're like, forget that Jewish is a religion. It's not a place.
Huge misconception. Yeah. Exactly. So
Danny, you're looking at me like I'm stupid or something. Most people think that.
Yeah, most people do.
Most people, and also my family, we're dark, curly, brown eyes. I could be Greek, I could be Italian. So when I tell people that we are 100% Dutch as far back as you can go, they just don't understand, and they're trying to compute how a religion can be an ethnicity and a religion at the same time. And I'm like, I swear it makes sense. Or you don't look Dutch. I'm like, well, I don't know what to tell you, pal. It is what it is.
That's Chris. So what? I guess this is a completely random question, but why are you guys Jewish then? Like, what usually most Jewish people kind of descended from Israel, but
I'm sure at some point, like we have an ancestor.
Okay,
like I'm sure like one of Moses' disciples is probably related to me in some capacity. But like,
man, that's crazy though.
Europe had a huge Jewish population, like leading into the Second World War. They still do today, but like it was just a huge central hub of Judaism.
I didn't know that. I didn't know Amsterdam was or Netherlands was a big Jewish hub.
It was big back in the day. Not as much anymore. Like the community is tiny, but yeah.
All right. Well, sorry. Continue the story though.
Good. What were we talking
you're
about?
At Montreal.
We went on like
Ricky's
a
head's
complete
just
soccer,
turning right
and then
now.
someone put Halifax on your mom's radar.
So my parents are like not from here, right? So I'm the first born of like 3 kids. So like they're experiencing the whole US Canadian college situation for the first time. So they're learning as they're going.
Are you the eldest?
I'm the oldest. So I have 2 younger sisters, and I'm the oldest. I'm like the guinea pig for first generation European parents. I don't know if you can relate.
I can imagine. Well, like my parents were pretty chill, but I can imagine.
They were chill, but like Dutch parents from Amsterdam specifically are like the most liberal parents on the planet, and they're open to everything. And my mom's like, we should go out to Halifax and check it out. I'm like, Mom, I committed. Like I'm fired up to go play here. The coach seems like a nice dude. The team's good. Like, and I get
What position were you?
What do you think?
Striker.
Yeah, I nailed it.
Hey, keep the mic a bit closer too.
Where do you want the mic? Like here?
Just a bit closer, yeah.
Like even that closer?
Yeah.
Okay, done. Done.
Go, continue.
So anyway, went to Dal, and have you been to the Dal campus ever?
No.
So it's really cool because you can see the Atlantic Ocean from campus, and that sold me. Like, that's it.
Fair. No, I get the appeal of it. Like
And
right on the water. You're on the ocean. Never mind water. You're on the ocean.
You're on the ocean. Like, how many campuses in Canada are literally on the Atlantic or the Pacific? Not many.
There's got to be one in
University
BC.
of BC.
Is it on the water?
I think
I'm
so.
sure there's a few, but there's not many.
No, I think
and
so. I think
it
that's
was
right.
just cool. They had a good soccer program at the time, and also like being that far away from the family is kind of cool if you want to get out of the house after high school.
That's fair.
Yeah.
So you went out there.
Went out there, played soccer for a couple years, came back to Toronto, worked on Bay Street for a little bit in real estate, not construction like you guys do, but on like the brokerage capital market side.
Okay.
But the funny thing is that I'm 4th generation furniture industry. So like there has always been this like, I don't know if it's an inside joke in the family or like pretty much my path has always been either real estate on my mom's side or like slinging furniture on my dad's side. Because he had a factory and was producing stuff like this. Like literally this is what they made.
I love this couch, by the way. I don't know who Leon's or something made it, but I love this.
But this is what my dad's factory made. We had a plant up in like Woodbridge area and supplied all the big Canadian retail stores. So like there's a chance you sat on a bunch of my dad's sofas in your life and didn't even know
Probably
it.
didn't even know. Yeah.
Yeah, and one of the funny things we used to do as a kid, like we'd go somewhere and my dad would see a sofa and he would beeline to the pillow and he would like, this is actually stitched in so I can't, but usually he would like pick up the pillow and if it was one of ours, he'd be like, hey kids, this is one of ours, and we'd be super proud as a family. It was really
You know
fun.
what's so funny? So my dad, anytime we drive anywhere, so my dad's been in construction for 45, 50 years. Anytime we go somewhere, when he doesn't do it as much anymore because now we're older, it's not as like funny or cool to him. But when we were younger, he'd drive back. You see that pond over there? Yeah, dug that.
Yeah, exactly.
But the problem is now it's like the company has done, I don't know, 1,000 jobs. So you can literally not drive more than 5 minutes in the GTA and not pass by either a job he's done, a job he's bid, a job that he helped do or something. Like, so this condo that I live in, one of our guys did this job. He dug this condo. Across the street, a buddy of mine is doing that work. Two streets over here on Wellington and Blue Jays Way in Wellington, we did the work right there. You go down the Skydome, we did work there. So it's like the ACC near Scotiabank Arena, we did work across the street. So it's literally the exact same thing.
As a kid, when your dad would show you that stuff, what was the reaction? Like, how did you feel?
When you're a kid, it's cool, right? You're like, well, you like doing the 407. My dad did the 407. I remember he took me for a drive at night once, and I'm like, we're driving on a highway that's not a highway yet. Like even when we did it, when I started working there, we did like the far east end extension, and you're driving on a highway that is a highway, but it's not open to anybody else yet because you're doing it before the final. Like we basically build it, but we don't do the asphalt and the paving. So like you'll be in a pickup truck or like a rock truck just driving down 20 kilometers of what is soon to be the 407.
Talk about early access.
Yeah,
it's like government infrastructure.
Yeah, it's cool, right? And then sometimes you get ugly jobs. You're like, okay, this is not cool.
No, but
this fucking smells like. We're doing a water treatment facility down in like Mississauga, and it's just like every time I go there, I'm like, this place fucking smells. Get me out of here.
What's interesting is that like we have really similar life experiences. Like it was your dad pointing out, infrastructure projects.
Oh yeah.
And for us, it was like pieces of furniture across every major retailer in the country. Like we would be in an Air Canada lounge somewhere, and like my dad's like, all these chairs in the lounge, that's us. And like he was so fired up about it.
They're proud, man. They're so fucking proud.
Yeah, parents are proud, especially if they're entrepreneurs and like they build it like yours did. But what was interesting is I never thought that the furniture and home category was sexy. Like if you asked me in high school or in college what I was going to do, it was 100% real estate, slinging stuff with my mom and her family. Like that was the path. I was so fired up to like go develop properties and buildings. And
it is a lot sexier than furniture though.
That's what I thought. Now,
Okay.
now 4.5 years into building this like software company for the home space, furniture is the sexiest thing on the planet, and it's so fun.
I love it.
It's hot.
Do you know what's funny too? Even how you say that, you're like, I never thought I was gonna do that. I was the same way. I thought if you asked me 10 years ago if I'd ever work in construction, I'd say no fucking chance. I did it as a kid since I was 13 to maybe 20, and then I started doing like marketing. I was doing events and shit. I started working in the nightclub space, and I stopped working construction because I was like, why do I need this day job when I can make good money just working 2
Were you
nights a
working
week?
with the family?
Yeah, I was always.
Yeah.
So I started. My dad kind of like snaggled me into it because one day my brother went to get trained, and my dad's like, Ricky, why don't you go? Like, I'll pay you $50. It's 4 hours. I was like, $50, 4 hours. I was 12. That's fucking huge money back, especially just like 20 years ago. So I went in and got my $50, got my training. A couple of days later, I go, Rick, I need a big favor. A guy's not showing up to work tomorrow. Do you mind going in? You got to do the easiest job there. And it was the easiest job. I'd sit down. This is before cell phones were a real thing too. You write down the time a truck comes in, the time a truck comes out. Sure, $12 an hour. Are you kidding? Work at 10 hours, $120. Did it one day. My dad, I come home the day, my mom picks me up, drops me off. My dad goes, oh, you want to do it again? Like, I need the favor. And it's always a favor. It was a favor until eventually it's like, I got my first paycheck and it was like $600 or something. And I went to the bank. I had to get a debit card. I was, whatever. And I remember going to the movie theater with a debit card. I was the only kid that had a debit card. Usually your parents just give you $20 to go to the movie and popcorn. You're good. I had a debit card. And I go and like, I could buy snacks for myself. Like I had more than $20 to spend. And I was like the richest kid because I had a full-time fucking job at 12 years old. Not full-time, but like a summer job at 12. And then he kind of snaggled me into it. And then every summer I did it, even though I didn't really want to do it. The money was so good. And I never really did hard work. I was always doing like bitch work. But then one day, like I remember I got to a job and there was no job for me to do there. And I'm like, what the fuck? And I was so mad. I'm like, Dad, you're paying me just because I'm your son. Like that's like degrading for me. And he's like, no, Ricky, just stand there and just go and talk. Go watch everybody. You don't have to literally do it. Just go watch. Just watch. I was like, what's the fuck's this do? What's the point? It's like, just by you being there, everyone is more efficient because they know you're going to tell me exactly what happens and who fucks the dog. Who does. So some jobs I was literally there just to watch people. It's insane. But yeah, anyways, I was working since I was a kid and I never thought I was going to end up in construction. Here I am 20 years later and I love it. It gives me like working with your family is truly amazing. Like you get to work with people you love and any idea that you have that you can save money or make money. Like there's very little red tape. I don't have to run it by 4 or 5 people. It's like, hey, I can do this. I can save us this amount of money, or I can do this. I can make us this, or, I can do this, which will help us in 3 or 4 years. And it's like, okay, go do it. Right. So, but enough about me actually.
No, it's actually interesting. I'm loving this. Like,
yeah. Well, it's nice because we kind of know who each other are, but we don't really know each other, right? Like we're like social media friends. Like,
kind
of. How do you know? I'm like, we kind of just know each other from social media. Like, I don't know.
Just like DMs. Like I'll respond to stories once in a while.
Yeah,
and
that's
like,
it. And then I saw you raised a whole bunch of money.
Pump up Ricky's TikToks
well, I saw
aggressively.
You raised a fuck ton of money. I was like, hey, that's crazy.
Yeah,
we tried. Me and George George used to the pod with us, and we tried to raise a lot of money. We never did, and we know how hard it is to raise that much money.
It's difficult, and we did it over last summer, and we announced like in the fall, and like it was the most choppy and difficult fundraising climate for like software companies in the last like 25 plus years. And I have some war stories.
I can imagine. Okay, but sorry, before we get into that, tell us about the business. Like, tell us.
Okay.
Because I know a little bit about it, but I don't fully know. So tell us about, don't worry about
But before we go into the biz, I want to you said how like you were 12 years old, like doing bitch work. First of all, same with me. My dad had me in the furniture factory, sweeping floors, like doing everything under the sun. Built my first sofa at 13. Trash sofa.
Wait, you know how to build a sofa?
I mean, shitty sofa.
Okay.
But like I understand the components from like the framing to the webbing to the stitching, like how you put it together, like how to ship it. Like just like your dad was like, hey Ricky, go watch the squad do what they do. Yeah. My pops was like, Sam, like go walk around the factory and like go ask the sewers what they do. Go ask the stitching department. Go ask the shippers. And it was funny because when you walk around, everyone knows your dad's he's big man on campus. Right? Like my dad also worked with his brother. So it was my dad and his brother. And I would walk around and like I would be 12, 11, 14, 16. And like everyone looks around. They're like, yeah, that's the future boss walking. And like they knew that if they weren't hustling, I would go tell my dad. Now, in all fairness, I never squealed. I was a really good kid. But still, I get the vibe.
To be honest, I was so bad. I wouldn't even know if people were doing their job or not because I didn't know what the fuck was going on when I was that young. My dad like, were people working? I'm like, I think so. He's like, were the machines moving? I was like, yeah. He's like, then people were working. I'm like, now that I know a little bit about it, I'm like, how do I know if they were actually working to their full fucking capacity? I didn't know.
Zero clue. There were times where I would do like busy work with the accounting department. And I remember like our I think it was our in-house accountant at the time. And she would have me do like reconciliations. I guarantee I got them all wrong.
She's probably
and I created so much more work for my dad's team, but he didn't say anything. Anyway.
Okay, the business. So
yeah, let's get into
CommerceBear.
CommerceBear.
Tell us about it.
So CommerceBear is, I'll actually like, instead of explaining the company bottom up, I love doing top down.
All right, let's
Okay, and this actually was really effective during our fundraising where I actually put like future investors in a mindset where they were like thinking as our consumer. So like show of hands, I mean there's only 2 of you guys here. Like who has bought a piece of furniture or like accessories for their home on the internet ever?
Me.
I think everybody has.
Everyone has, right? And like where do you shop?
I'm a big Amazon guy.
Okay.
Even for home furniture, for everything.
Great.
Actually, I guess Home Sense.
Where'd you buy this couch?
I didn't buy this online. I bought this in person.
But you've bought furniture on the internet.
Yeah, oh yeah, of course.
Danny?
Like those stools I bought on the internet.
My whole condo's from the internet.
Oh, where did you shop? Like top 2 favorite like brands that you shopped
for my
online.
condo right now,
yeah,
it's either CB2 or Article.
Okay, so
Rich.
Perfect. Love that. Article's great Canadian brand, by the way.
Yeah, it's great.
So pretty much what Bear does is we help furniture manufacturers list and sell and like pretty much scale their entire business on the internet. So like we help furniture brands that produce for big retailers that we all know and love, and we help them manage their entire biz on Wayfair, Amazon, Paragold, House.com.
Wayfair, forgot about that.
Like Amazon is huge for us and our customer base. So Bear is pretty much like the publishing engine for the home industry. And what's funny is because furniture is typically to the general person unsexy. Like you don't think about it, but if you'd look around this room, it's the most ubiquitous thing around us.
Don't say this room because my condo's not well furnished.
Sure.
Like George's place is really nice. Danny, I don't know what yours looks like.
Mine's like basic, but my mom redoes her family room every 4 years. And we can't go. She is so obsessed with her family room furniture. She redoes it every 4 years.
Wait, let me ask you this. Does it go from the living room down to the downstairs living room, and then from the downstairs living room goes to you, and then from you it goes eventually somewhere else?
Yeah, or like after, the basement it goes.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of Europeans, that's how it was. It was like goes from your main living area to the secondary living area to the kids.
Just gets relegated to D League and then it mixes.
Since being at my house, every 5 years, she changes it because she's so obsessed with family room furniture.
Furniture is personal, right? Furniture is almost as unique as like the people who buy it. Like everyone has their own desire, their flavor, like how you want your sofa or accessory to look, and pretty much like we've allowed like this whole kind of segment of the economy, manufacturers of furniture, which are like overlooked everywhere, because when you shop for furniture, you don't go to the manufacturer, you go to the retailer. Yeah. You go to Article, you go to CB2, you go to Wayfair, Amazon, or like a mom and pop shop locally. But the manufacturers, like my dad and our family business, they are cut out of the value chain. Like they are like the most important part of the value chain, but they actually don't get to determine the price, how it's sold. They don't own the consumer relationship. And like during the pandemic, and I hate saying during the pandemic because that is so like not a thing anymore, but it changed the way we all buy furniture for our homes. Like it literally
changed the way everybody bought anything
for their home, right? And we ended up like we raised a relatively small, like $1 million, like pre-seed kind of round right before the pandemic, and we used that to ride this wave, grow the biz, which honestly ended up like being really good for us in terms of timing. And like I've always said, timing in life is everything, and like we were just very lucky that the furniture gods were like looking down on me and my business, like saying, Sam, now's your time and you guys can go take your space. And then we ended up partnering with Inovia, which is like the biggest and best fund in Canada. They led our $14 million round back in December.
Fuck.
And like now we're building the future of home, which is like what we got here. Bear's home.
So wait, so Bear essentially brings manufacturers to direct to consumer,
to market,
Yeah.
pretty much. Like not always directly to the consumer, but to the channels that have all of the consumers shopping at them.
Okay.
So we'll connect the manufacturer to Wayfair,
Okay.
Amazon, Walmart, House.com, so on and so forth. And the manufacturers love it because it's a new revenue channel.
Yep.
It's incremental. It's usually like relatively high profit margin compared to selling in brick and mortar store where you have overhead such as trucks and employees and warehouse space and so on and advertising. So it's pretty much helping them future-proof their businesses.
Where'd the idea come from then? Like,
So-
how'd you just decide? Did you see your dad in this space and like, hey, fuck,
Yeah.
Dad, why don't you try this? It's like, oh, it doesn't exist. Like,
So pretty much it took an interesting turn of events. So back to Dalhousie. So I graduate Dal. Few people know this. I went straight to grad school.
where'd you go to grad?
Dalhousie.
Okay.
In retrospect, worst decision. I needed a change of scenery, hated it, dropped out 6 months later. So went to Bay Street.
There's always a good story though.
Yeah, went to Bay Street, worked in real estate, capital markets kind of stuff. It was like definitely not super interesting, but you learn how to like suck it up, say yes sir, yes ma'am, get your shit done. Scar tissue, like it builds you up. And then my dad asked me to come down to the Carolinas for the world's biggest furniture trade show. This thing is fucking nuts. 100,000 people come to the Carolinas. Greensboro, High Point area, twice a
North
year.
Carolina, man, Greensboro.
Yeah, twice a year they show up, and every furniture buyer on the planet shows up, from like Crate and Barrel, Pottery Barn to your local mom and pop shop to designers. They all show up to do their wholesale buying for the season in High Point. It's a party. It's wild. There's alcohol, there's DJs, there's catering, there's private jets. You need to see it. I just came back from it 10 days ago, and it was wild. So my dad takes me down to this thing when I'm still working in finance to try to convince me to join the family furniture business. I'm like, Dad, there's not a chance I'm going to sling sofas with you and your brother. Not a fucking chance. Like, I'm really happy with my career path in real estate. So I didn't go. 6 months later, my dad, again, and I'm really close with my pops, he's like, Sam, I'll pay for your flights. I'll pay for your hotels. I'm like, honestly, that sounds compelling. I went down with my dad. And
So that's how he got you, eh?
Got me.
Free flight and hotel.
He
Eh?
hooked-
Fuck, mom and dad know how to do it, eh?
Easy to win over at that time. I was like 20, 24 maybe.
You're like, fuck it, I'll go down the States.
I'll take it. Like, have a great time in the Carolinas. Like, let's go. It was also like spring in Ontario. It was super cold. It was like 30 degrees and sunshine there. So showed up. And what blew my mind is how much capital was exchanging hands in 1 week in one place. Like it.
What's a ballpark? Can you estimate that?
So I don't know exactly like what transacts at High Point in real time, which the trade show is called High Point. But when you compare the total addressable market of the furniture and home category globally, it dwarfs other categories that we think are bigger. So like,
Didn't know that.
yeah, so like home category globally, $800 billion. If you look at other spaces like food delivery, it has DoorDash, Uber Eats, Caviar, maybe a sixth or an eighth of the size. That's how big home and furniture is. And I
Did not know that.
dude, it blew my mind. Blew my fucking mind. And I said, Dad, kind of like the scene in Wolf of Wall Street where Jonah Hill sees DiCaprio's paycheck and goes, I'm going to fucking work for you right now. I saw what my dad was doing. I'm like, Dad, I'm literally going to work for you right now. I think I put a notice a week later at my job on Bay Street. And my boss at the time, really nice VP that I'm still in touch with today, was like, Sam, what are you going to go do? Like, this must be a great opportunity. I'm like, I'm going to go sling furniture with my dad. And he kind of like punched me. He's like, good luck. He's like, good luck, kid. And I worked with my dad for 2 years. Learned everything about the home and furniture category. Like weekends,
What's your dad's
evening.
company called?
So it's no longer around. Okay. He kind of rolled it up. But it was originally called Hickory International in the US. And it was called Koja Leatherline here in Canada. Okay. But like, you wouldn't know because no one knows manufacturers.
That's fair. A good family friend of mine owns a company called RFP.
Okay.
So they do custom furniture, but they don't. I think they only do custom. Actually, I don't think they even sell in stores. I don't even know, to be honest. But again, like nobody knows.
But it's kind of
like other than what's the Cloud Couch? What company is that?
Restoration Hardware. And here's the funny thing: that is not even made by Restoration Hardware. Oh, that is made most likely, if I had to guess, by Shane Global in Taiwan under contract for them. So like I've gotten to know over the years all of the white label producers who make anything. So if you ever see a piece of furniture at a retailer, Ricky, like just DM me or text me and like I'll tell you where to get it at wholesale.
I have some furniture.
I don't know if I should put this on the pod, but like
see those TikToks.
like, I am the furniture guy when it comes to like you want to know where to.
Are in that industry.
Yeah.
If you find if you love the restoration like hardware at Cloud Couch, go get this replica at this place for a fraction of the cost or something. I see those TikToks all the time.
And the funniest thing is I've had customers that are like now users of the Bear platform. These are like big businesses. Like average customer does like definitely serious volume offline and online, and they'll send me their furniture. Like they'll literally send their favorite products to our office. So my office in Toronto,
Got fucking great.
I have an RH Cloud Couch from the wholesaler because they were a customer of Bear. They were a customer of ours for a little bit.
So it's just chilling there. Your office must be so nice.
You should come by. It's actually it's kind of fun.
Man, why didn't we do this at your office?
we could have set up at my office.
Easy. Everything's mobile. Anyway, we'll do part 2 next time. We'll do it again.
If you ever want to shoot, just like I'll give you a meeting room. It can be all yours.
Man, I didn't even think about that. I was
Yeah.
like, fuck.
We
We
have a good space up in at University in Dundas.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Wait. So we're back. We're back to go. Let's stay on track here.
Where were we?
So you're at the part where you just gave your notice. You're with dad. 2 years. You learned everything.
We're talking like hustling evenings, weekends. I'm on the road learning everything from like how to like procure the leather from the tannery and the different kinds of leathers.
Tannery?
Where the hides come from. Right?
That's a real word.
Tanneries is where leather is made. And it's like the most toxic, disgusting process because, right, the cow gets chopped up, or sometimes there's buffalo leather and there's pigskin leather. And what's funny is like I learned as well that like leather doesn't have to be cow, it can be any animal. It's obvious now, but I didn't realize that. I learned it.
Didn't know
so
that
like
either.
from the tannery dude, like which is filthy and like I do not recommend you ever go to one of those, to like the lumber yard, through to like the mills that make the fabric and like how all those parts come into the plant, and then you end up with like one of these bad boys. It's wild, and it's complex.
Okay, so you did that 2 years. You learned everything there is to know about it. The tannery, the lumber yards, everything.
Milling, production, foam densities, like everything you can under the sun. And I reached a point where I was very bullish on what the future of the home category looks like with a software company that helps solve these huge problems when it comes to listing online. And at the time, I had started listing a few of our family's products on like wayfair.ca, like early Wayfair days before it was a household name up here in Canada. It was like relatively well known in the US, but not here in Canada. And I flew down to Boston and I spent like a day with like our category manager at Wayfair when we were a vendor for my family's business. Yeah. And I was blown away at like how many millennials had just like from top Ivy League schools and top US institutions were all working at Wayfair's head office in Boston. I'm like, holy shit, Wayfair's onto something. And like at the time they were publicly traded. They were doing billion.
They weren't as big as they are today.
Not even close to as big as they were today. This is like 20, I think this was probably 2016.
Okay.
2017. No, 2018. 2018. Sure. Anyway, I'm trying to remember. Like everything's a blur, honestly, pre-2020.
Okay, so 2018, you're down there. I want to know like what's the aha moment?
So I don't think there was like an actual aha moment. I think it was a number of compounding observations over time. It's like, okay, industry is big at this trade show. Cool. My dad's company is relatively well established, but their processes are all spreadsheets and faxes and archaic. Cool. Okay, there's definitely like no efficiency here. You go visit like Wayfair in Boston and you realize like it's a very like forward-thinking company in the home space. Like, okay, interesting, but they're focused on the consumer. So then you start doing market research, and I started calling up and trying to demo every single on-the-shelf software solution at the time that could help us like list our catalog across a bunch of different sites. Kind of like when you walk into like a pizza shop and you have all those little tablets for DoorDash and Uber Eats, and like you have like SaaS that kind of centralizes it all into one queue, and like that's a big business like Lightspeed. And I realized there was nothing in the home category. No one had been like, this is a market that I want to go after. So I'm like, Dad, I love you. Thanks for all like the lessons and the support. I'm going to go do my own thing in the home category, but it's going to be a software company. And I went to my mom. Parents are divorced. But I went to my mom. I told her the idea. She was super supportive. My dad obviously supportive as well, but definitely bummed that his like only son, oldest boy, is like dipping and leaving. And I took a loan from for my mom, like 25, 30K. One of my uncles also gave me a loan, 30K. I put my savings into the business, ended up paying them back within like a year. And then about a year and a half later, we ended up raising our first like angel round. And that was right before the pandemic. But like the first year was tough, dude. It was tough.
You're not a tech, you have no tech experience.
Can't code for shit. Just cannot code. Now fast forward 4.5 years working with
you picked up a couple things.
I can't code, but I understand how it works, and like I'm comfortable speaking to it. But I think the biggest thing was surrounding myself with people who are really good at what they do and trusting them to do it.
That's fair, yeah.
That's the big thing.
This whole story was great, and I agree with what you say, the compounding thing, because again, it starts off with like you're not in real estate, and real estate is a massive industry, and then it's like, okay, you realize, okay, for home and furniture wasn't that big, but okay, maybe it is that big. You went to Mile Point or High Point?
High Point.
Yeah,
it's outside of Greensboro.
You went to High Point. Then from there was the next thing. Then the next.
It just builds, man. It's like a story. Like, you know, the classic story arc. You build the foundation. You build the plot line. Yeah. Like it was just that, and I just like rode the wave. And I've always been someone who I'd like to think I'm super high conviction and that I will quit hard and quit often. And it's funny because the dogma at the time, all my buddies who were like at high school, in college, got jobs in finance, they were like, we got to stick this out for a couple of years to pad the resume. You can't show that you're hopping and shopping on a resume. Yeah. Like everything is thinking about like pretty much like how do you build a good career for other people? I mean, I knew at some point I would do my own thing. So I was really comfortable cutting hard and cutting fast. And of course people were like, Sam, like family, friends were like, you have a great job. Why are you leaving? I'm like, because if I do this when I'm 40, I won't be able to. So, yeah.
And it goes to the idea, a lot of people like live for their future selves, not for their today selves, right? Like a lot of people are sticking it out because they know in 20 years that's the life they want to live or something. Well, it's like,
sure,
you might not make it there.
You don't
like,
know.
You might not make
life
it
is fleeting, man, and short, and you got to cherish
if the pandemic taught us anything, it's that life is not guaranteed. Like,
nothing
it
is
be literally gone at any.
Nothing is guaranteed.
Yep.
Swing big, swing hard. Like obviously, different people have different risk appetites.
Yep.
But one of the things that I mean, dude, there's so many ways we can take this combo. But like,
if you lead, I'll follow.
Honestly, if there's like, okay, if there's like one thing I wish I knew 5 years ago, or even when I started building out this biz, is that everything's going to be okay. And like, you just got to trust the process. I just turned 30 last year and I feel like I'm an old cuck now. And like, I get it, but 25-year-old Sammy was stressed to the tits about everything, and everything was huge and everything was heavy. And you realize now, like, it actually isn't. Just go with it.
Do you know the way you said this? Do you know the Chinese, the story about the Chinese farmer?
No. I feel like you're going to tell me it though.
You've told us on the podcast.
I was just about to say I haven't told us on the podcast in a while.
Okay, in a while.
It's been months, Danny, because you haven't been here in months. So the story goes, it's about a Chinese farmer. He wakes up one morning and his horse is gone, and they're a farming family. This horse is how they make their money. So the neighbor comes by and goes, oh my God, your horse took off. Like, this is terrible news. Like, what bad luck? The farmer looks at the neighbor and goes, yeah, maybe not. Well, the next morning the farmer goes out. The horse came back and brought 3 more horses with them. He's got 4 horses now. Neighbor goes, oh my God, you're going to make so much money. This is great. You're such a lucky guy. The man goes, maybe not. The next day, the boy, his son is out there riding one of the new horses, trying to like tame him, whatever. Falls off his horse, breaks his leg. The neighbor comes back, oh my God, these horses are terrible. It broke your son's leg. This is terrible news. Like, such bad luck. The farmer's like, yeah, maybe not. The next day, the army's coming through town, recruiting all able young men to go to war. Well, his son's got a broken leg, can't go to war. The neighbor comes back, oh my God, you're so lucky. Your son's not going to war. Like, you have the best luck ever. The farmer goes, maybe not. The idea of the story is that you never really know if something's going to be like good or bad, and like until you let things fully play out. You have to like let it go, ride the highs, and like manage the lows, because again,
trust the process.
Yeah.
Trust
see it
the
through.
process.
See it through, because you don't know if something like in my business, like sometimes you get a big job, and you're like, this is amazing. Like, we just got the biggest job we've ever had. Well, who's to say that you don't fucking screw it up and lose everything on this massive job?
You don't know.
Or maybe you end up losing that job that you were so close to getting. You know how many jobs we were so close to getting? We were less than 0.5% off, and we're talking like not like 9-figure jobs.
Sure.
And we're 1% or 2% off. And you're thinking, fuck, like we could have got that job. Like that could have been so good for our business. Maybe it could have been the worst thing to happen to our business. Maybe we would have had to overhire, and we would have hired too many bad people. and you screw up, and that's how you ruin the company, right? You never know if somebody's going to be true. Like, ride it out and trust the process day by day. Like
100%. Like, trust the process. Trust good people around you to make good decisions. Like, that's huge as well. But yeah, the good story about the farmer though.
Yeah. Before we get into the fundraising, Brooks, I do want to ask about that.
I mean, we could talk fundraising as much as you want.
Yeah. But before that, what do you think has been the biggest key to your success? Like, what's the one thing that you think is like the one thing that really stands out?
I think that's actually it's an interesting question. I used to say that's a good question, and then a wise early investor of mine that I deeply respect that's built like a massive SaaS business here in Canada said to me, stop qualifying questions, Sam. Stop when someone says like, it gives me a question, stop saying good question, like, because if the next person asks the question, you don't say good question, do they feel like shit because it was a bad question? So like,
it's just me and Danny ask us, so Danny, shit question.
So like, either if you're gonna qualify everything which makes you a dick, or just like stop qualifying questions. Just like say thank you for the question. And I've coached a lot of people at CommerceBear on that. And like it's one of like the Sam-isms that you'll hear across the hallways of our business, where it's like stop qualifying questions among like 10 other things of like what not to do, just because you don't have to. Also using filler words is a big one for us. But I think that it comes down to like what the one thing is that kind of played into my success. First of all, don't think I'm successful at all. And I think that like my success is chasing 60-year-old Sam. Like I want that guy to be super proud of me today and be like, yeah, dude, you made good calls, or you made the right calls, or you took the right risks. Whether it paid off or not, we shall see. And if it doesn't, I'll have some good scar tissue to show for it. But
man, I agree.
Right? Like it does, like scar tissue is healthy. And I'll talk about when I recruit, when we hire, because I built a really, really strong, I believe, leadership team of some of the biggest guns in vertical software in North America. And it's because, frankly, it comes down to, I just lost my train of thought. Well, I was just talking about a second ago.
What's so funny? He's talking. So I used to do this with George. Do you know who George is?
No, who's George?
So he's my co-host, like my best friend. So he stopped in the pod. He retired from podcasting recently just because of time commitments. But I think you, like, as you're talking, I'm like, these guys would get along so well. Just like they had, like we tried to raise, and he was leading our raise for when we had our app.
I think that's why we initially reached out to Sam.
Yeah, I think so. It was just because, like, yeah, when you see people doing things that you tried to do. Like, we tried to raise money, we couldn't. We raised just over $500,000, and like we were really happy with that. And for our app.
Dude, that's a great amount.
Yeah, we were happy with that.
That's impressive and tough.
Like 10 or something. I was like, what the fuck? That's wild. Like, I want to hear how you did. I want to hear your stories. And what you said about scar tissue is like our app.
Oh, that's it. Yeah.
Our app ultimately failed financially, but we don't call the app a failure. Like, we launched a social media app that hit like number 9 on the app store for social media in Canada the day we launched, which again, in big picture is nothing, but like it was like TikTok, Snapchat, Instagram, blah, 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 blah.
What was it called?
Cast. It was like the purple C. It was a social voting
app. It sounds familiar.
If you're in Toronto, you've definitely seen it or heard of it, because we fucking did some wild shit.
What it is, it's a notch in your belt. It's and back to the point that I lost my train of thought on, because my mind is moving a million miles a minute, because I'm just fired up to be here.
Have you done a pod before?
No, first time ever.
Oh, fuck yeah. Love it.
Dude, no longer a pod virgin. Sick.
I used to say the joke all the time. I fucking steal everyone's pod.
I'm going to start a furniture pod where I'm going to talk to like furniture experts in the next couple of weeks. But like, this is my first time ever being on a pod.
That's good practice.
But I have to bring my homies.
Yeah. And we're going to get to those. Before we end, we're going to get to those.
Yeah. But so scar tissue, when I look for leadership or for like people that are going to build this company alongside me, I didn't have the luxury that you had when you were building Cast with a co-founder. I'm a solo founder, which is super lonely sometimes, because you can move faster and make higher conviction decisions because
it's just you. It's
not decision by committee. And I have a ton of thoughts about chefs in the kitchen and like people like, I don't know if I can say this, but like circle jerking around decisions and like not getting there fast enough. So like the downside of being a solo founder is that you don't really have a strong team to build with from like the get-go. Mm-hmm. But what I've been able to do today, I've pretty much looked at folks that have scar tissue, that have seen the movie. And if you look at the leadership at Bear around me, they wear the co-founder hats. They're not co-founders, but the way they operate, the way they think, the way they communicate with me and the team, they are my co-founders. Because they're building this thing with me.
Well, yeah, and you want people that feel like they got skin in the game, right? Because like that's what it is. You want people to feel like 100%. They're part of that team.
Everybody has equity at CommerceBear. Everybody.
I I love it. And as you're talking, like even when you lost your train of thought, I'm like, this is George too. Like and again, maybe
Shout out George.
Yeah, he might listen.
I don't know who George is.
So he's like my best friend too. Danny's best friend's engaged to George. That's how me and Danny became best friends. And he might listen. We'll tell him to listen to this one. But no, exactly what some of the things you're saying. When we were building Cast too, is the same thing, right? Like you want to try and build the best possible team because we were non-technical co-founders as well. And when you're a non-technical co-founder working in the tech space, like it's fucking tough.
And there's also sometimes stigma around it.
Oh, yeah.
And there's ways to circumnavigate. There's ways to objection handle. And there's like, as you reach certain scale and velocity and you have product market fit and like you have, a big market that you're attacking or you have a good product and the story is compelling, like you kind of can move away from the stigma around, hey, you're a non-technical founder of a SaaS business. But at the time, especially, well, I'm going to pin my thought for a second. There's a huge difference between US investors and Canadian investors.
I can see that.
Massive. Like one is playing checkers, one is playing chess. Yep. I'm sure you can guess who is who.
Oh yeah. Yeah, fairly.
For the most part, our backers that are Canadian, we have 2 funds, VC funds that are Canadian. The rest are American, and they are pretty much the 2 of the best funds in Canada. And like I hand selected them because they were honestly operating like they're on Sand Hill Road in San Francisco, in Silicon Valley. Garage Capital, absolute beauties, and Inovia Capital. And like, frankly, I'm thrilled to have them in the cap table because they were able to look around and look over so much of the stigma that your typical VC will look at when you're looking at a non-technical solo founder.
It's even tough because you're non-technical solo.
Dude, cards stacked against you, but the story's there and the market's there. Yeah. So you can make it work.
Okay, so what was the first round was right before COVID.
Yeah.
Pre-COVID, and you said you raised how much?
So total to date, it's been 14 million Canadian.
Fuck.
Yeah. I also realized I never answered the question about like what's been the one thing that's been like helped me.
Oh yeah, that's the best part about this pod. We just go
100. Okay, so I thought about that a little bit, and I think it's tough to answer, but I think Ricky, what it comes down to is being able to get other people rallying around your mission and vision. Getting other people, whether it's employees, investors, customers, partners, channels like Wayfair, getting them fired up about what you're doing, kind of like a shared mission and a shared understanding of where we're going. If you make someone feel special, and it all comes down to feeling at the end of the day, people will come with you. And like one of our top core values at Bear, even though we're not supposed to stack rank the values, they're all created equal. I kind of have a favorite child, which is like be in the culture of service of others. And it's funny. Yeah, because what that means is you remember how someone makes you feel in life. You don't remember what they do. So like 10 years from now, you might not even remember this conversation, but you'd be like, yeah, Sam, like we had a fun convo. I don't know what the fuck we spoke about, but I felt decent leaving that conversation. So
it's so, yeah, you bang on. Like so many episodes, like we'll think back, and we record this and this will be released in 2 weeks, and I'll do the intro right before, and I'll be like, what the fuck? I know we had so much fun, but I can't remember what we
Exactly. But you remember how someone made you feel.
Yeah.
Whether it's a date, whether it's a family event, whether it's a business relationship, like you remember how someone makes you feel. So if you can make someone feel good, make them feel heard, make them feel listened to, active listening, not hearing, like literally active listening. And then you also like have something good going. You can't just do that without having an interesting business or something cool going on. Those two come together and you have people like just pushing you up the fucking hill. And I feel like I have an entire village, fortunately, and I'm blessed to have like this village around me, around Bear, around our team. Our investors are like banging their chest. We have like I get on a Zoom call and our investors are like polished, like really polished investors that have made fortunes investing in building software companies. They get on a Zoom call, they're like fucking Bear, like on the call with me. And like you just get people fired up. Like you bring bears to meetings, like you show up with teddies, you do shit like that, and people they're like, let's go to the moon, man. Anyway.
Man, even you walked in like
it's my TED talk. I'm done.
No,
Sorry.
But you're one of the first guests in a while, so we took a hiatus, and you're the first guest in a while that's brought like gifts and stuff. So for anyone who's watching on YouTube, we got a teddy bear here. We got some bracelets,
and it's special. That teddy's only for CommerceBear customers and employees, except for you, bro.
Oh, I appreciate that.
Yeah, man, I got you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, but it's like the little things where it's like making someone feel special, right?
Yeah, like, and I would have brought a hoodie, but like I just ran. We just went through a rebrand, and I didn't have the new merch yet.
I don't have. We're getting Pals merch again. We took a hiatus from merch, so we're doing Pals
We
merch.
are?
I'll trade you for a sick Gildan heavy cotton bear hoodie. When I get
I
one.
got you. I got these nice hats coming. Oh, and your stuff's green. You're green, right?
Well, yeah, or like green, brown, or like this is the new icon that we just launched 2 weeks ago, which is a grizzly bear nose.
Yeah.
But it's also home for the house category, but also sideways C for CommerceBear.
Okay.
So this is kind of our new kind of colorway.
Yeah, yeah.
I have a question.
You know what? I'm actually gonna put it
How
on.
did you come up with the name? Okay.
It's okay. CommerceBear. The question was, how'd you come up with the name? There we go.
There we go. Okay, so this is gonna be something that most people don't know, and like in the past, when someone asks me how we named the company, I usually don't answer the question. I just like beat around the bush like an absolute beauty, like I'm just like objection handling.
Obviously, I asked this question.
And I'm like, and my typical response, if you really want to objection handle, like, and don't get me into sales 101 because we have the best VP of sales in software in Canada, hands down. His name is Evan Santa, absolute goat. And he has taught me more about the sales process and sales methodology and the buyer behavior and how you build pipeline than anybody I've ever, like, it's been an MBA times 1,000. And Evan has showed me how to, like, someone asks you a question. It's like, okay, great. But like, why do you ask? And for the most part, people forget they asked the question.
That's fair.
I didn't forget.
Okay. I tried to.
Oh, that's fair. Well, Mike, it's also our job on the pod if people don't want to answer questions. We
No,
follow
I'm
it.
just curious, given like you brought your bear here, that's from your desk.
I love that you're so respectful, but I'm happy to answer. It's named after my childhood dog, whose name was Bear.
Oh, I love that.
Good answer.
I know he's still kicking it.
that's-
He's 14, 15. He's still kicking it.
It's just like nice that it has like a nice like
Yeah.
homey like familiar feel when like the company like furniture itself came from your family. Now you're
100%.
bringing, like, other
It's very like
aspect.
it's very family. It's very like this is meaningful to us. And one of the funny things is that when we were incorporating the business, like I was incorporating the business, like no employee, it was just me. And like
You say we. I don't-
yeah,
Now it's we.
Now it's we, and I say we now. So like it's because we're building the business together, and I really like I have a huge apprehension to saying I, like, it's not me. Like, we're doing this as a fucking roster.
Yeah,
like
unit.
we're like just like a sports team. Like, we're doing this together. But I was like on like Corporations Canada website, and I put it in. Like, we went to our lawyer to get it like rubber stamped or something, and the lawyer at the time was like, "Cool, where'd it come from?" I'm like, "Oh, childhood dog." He goes, "You know the corporations never die." I'm like, "That is so symbolic. Holy shit." Wild.
Man,
Anyway.
it's a very like well-fitting story. You know, like from like your family having furniture roots to like you saying I'm never gonna work there, then for you to go work for your dad, then from your dad to you to carry on do your own thing. And I'm sure like if you were still with your dad's company, maybe they wouldn't have packed up and they called it, right? Maybe they would have handed it on to you or something.
So
right?
something crazy happened today. Like, this blew my mind. So my dad's brother, who was my dad's like second in command, like, you know, VP for many years at the furniture factory, he still runs a furniture brand, a wholesaling company out of Ontario with factories all over the world. And for the last 2 years, my uncle Eric has been asking me to use CommerceBear. And like, I've been like I just can't have family using our platform because like if it breaks, I don't want to have an awkward convo with you at dinner. I love you and respect you. I have such a high bar for family and friends that like we let billion-dollar revenue companies use our software to run their entire e-commerce. But like my uncle, I'm like, no, man, not yet. So this morning he signed and like officially full circle, family is now using CommerceBear, which is just like mind blowing. And I called him and he's like, this is like such a crazy full circle moment. I'm going to run my whole business on your platform.
This is a good feel good.
Feel good, right?
Feel good moment.
And my entire company, like our sales team, our success team, refers to him as Uncle Eric in like, you see like in our CRM and like HubSpot, like it's like Uncle Eric as the prospect. I'm like, that's fucking incredible. It's so fun.
This is a good start. How many employees are you guys?
We're at like 50 today.
Wow.
Small. Like
That's
50
not
is a
small at
50.
all.
Well, that's like medium size.
That's a solid size considering
Yeah.
the company's what, 5 years old?
Yeah.
2018 you said?
No, that's
Yeah,
insane.
we started 2019.
29, so not even 5, 4.5.
I think we're in year 5 now.
Yeah.
I lost track. I don't even know. Feels like you're 50, honestly.
That's great.
Good team. We're fully distributed. So I'd say like our leadership team specifically is like between New Orleans, Baltimore, San Francisco, and Evan, our VP sales, lives in Thunder Bay.
No way, Thunder Bay.
Thunder Bay. He moved back to Thunder Bay during the pandemic.
How old is he roughly?
Evan, I don't know how old Evan is,
Ballpark.
but I honestly couldn't know. But Evan is probably between 30 and 40. He's like close to my age.
Next time you talk,
early
to him,
30s. Evan's early 30s.
Is Evan going to listen to this pod?
Evan will likely listen to the pod. What's up, Evan?
If you know my boy Dom Figliomeni, Thunder Bay's population is like 150,000. If you're in this age group, you're definitely boys with Dom Figliomeni. Tell him I say hi. Dom, tell Evan, what's the Santos?
Evan Santa.
You guys, I hope you guys are friends.
That's funny.
Fucking hilarious.
Evan's a beauty. Like
Dom's a beauty.
One of those people that changes your life that you work with and like just changes the trajectory of everything. And there's
like, was he employee like 5 or something?
He pretty much built the entire go-to-market motion, like our entire sales motion himself. Like, it was founder-led sales where I was out slinging and hustling deals. Like, signing deals I probably shouldn't have because I was happy to take any revenue that I could. Like, at that point, when you're that early, 5, 6, 7 people, like, $1 is $1. Today, we actually look at the dollar. Okay, like, how's it segmented? Is it ICP? Like, does it fit our platform properly? Is it a good dollar? Is it a bad dollar? Back then, dude, it was a fucking dollar. I'll take it. Like, I will like, give it to me. I was hungry. Zero patience. Everything had to be instantaneous. Turned off a lot of buyers. Was kicked out of a lot of showrooms. Told never to return because I was way too intense. And Evan came in. He saw an opportunity. He took a really early bet on us, and he's been at 2 like really, really well established software companies and took a bet, joining us early stage. Built the entire go-to-market motion. And what's interesting is in other software spaces, you've seen the playbook. There's hotel booking software. There's software for pharmaceuticals. There's like the playbook. You don't have to create it from the ground up. You can kind of see what others have done because there have been first movers. Yeah. We're first movers in our space. So we've had to do everything for the first time, every time, which is wild. So, yeah.
This whole story is great. And
you're holding the bear. Ricky's holding the bear.
Danny, you notice how he keeps saying that's what's interesting? Like, so George used to be like, he'll always say, oh, that's so interesting. That's so interesting. He would say it like numerous times throughout an episode. And I used to like chirp. But now you say it just reminds me of him too. But
that's good.
This is great.
Yeah. So I think one of the things that keeps me really busy these days though, dude, is thinking about the team. How do we get like deep alignment? How do you like make sure that when you have a roster of this size, which is still small, like fully distributed, and like I'm the only guy that actually goes to the office every single day, like my dad and his dad before him, just because I love it. But like, how do you gain deep alignment with a team that's fully distributed? And like, that is probably the biggest challenge that we're facing right now, but not just we as a software community. Everyone in tech is trying to figure out like, how do we do this thing if people are living everywhere? And it's doable and you can be super successful, but you have to be thoughtful about it.
So let me ask you, what do you think the biggest hurdle is with being fully distributed? Because I'm a strong believer in like company culture and getting people in a room together. Like we're in construction, so it's a little bit different because a lot of times you need to physically be there, and a lot of times, but some of our staff, like I just like the idea of having them in office. When we were doing our startup, we were fully remote. So again, it's completely different. What do you think the biggest hurdle is when having a company that's fully distributed?
I think the biggest hurdle, like I'm going to take my CommerceBear like CEO hat off for a second and put on just like someone who works in tech in a remote distributed environment. I think the biggest hurdle is ensuring that everybody feels like they are on the same path, like that there's deep and like passionate alignment. It's really easy to get kind of stuck in your routine. You go in, you log on, you do what you got to do. How do you capture like momentum? Everything in life's about momentum. It's energy, it's direction. It's like, are you fucking fired up about it?
Yeah.
And we started bringing people in like for a quarterly team event or like an annual kickoff summit where we flew everybody in from across Canada and the US for 2 days in Toronto, where we had like ice breaking, we had directional conversation, we had a big team dinner. But it's really difficult when your leadership is distributed. That's like the core team that I work with. So we do a quarterly leadership on-site. They all fly to Toronto. We spend 2-3 days together. Then their broader teams will come into the office if they can, or we'll bring them in if we have to. And then in that 1 week, everybody is just like getting super aligned. And like we're tackling the biggest problems. It's like, cool, break. Everyone, you go back to your homes, wherever you live, whether it's Guelph or Halifax or you live on the West Coast, and you do great work for the next quarter. And then we'll bring you in again. It's expensive. But
I was literally just saying the exact same thing. I'm like, you're 50 people. I'm assuming maybe a quarter or a third live in Toronto?
I would say 60% of our 60% of our company live within like the 2-hour GTA
Okay, so they're fairly cheap.
It's fairly cheap, but it's
other, you still got 20 people, give or take.
Yeah, and there's nothing more powerful than like this. Like you can't beat seeing someone's white of their eyes, like seeing their facial expressions. No, you can't. It's not the same. So that's what we're all thinking through right now in real time. Like, what does this world look like? Is it hybrid? Is it a crazy everyone back in the office? No, that's like untenable because like you're
especially in the tech space.
Yeah, and also the benefit of being fully distributed, we've been able to bring on talent, like our head of success who lives in New Orleans, Louisiana, that we would never be able to find in Canada.
Yeah.
Or like our VP product lives in Baltimore, or our VP operations lives in San Francisco in the Valley. These people, they are so good at what they do. That level of talent doesn't exist in Canada because we're a population of sub 40 million. And if you want really big tech giants that have seen the movie, you go stateside. Like they're playing chess. So,
yeah, you think about it, like just what Canada alone lives in California. What's the population of California?
Pretty much. I think like
It's around like 30 million.
30 million.
California, and then 30 million in
And
Canada.
if you move away from population, you go GDP to GDP, it's a whole different ballgame. So, what's interesting is also look, I'm a Canuck, diehard. Like born here, raised here. Like I will beat the drum. I will drink maple syrup straight. I don't care. Like I'll fucking do it. Like I'm the most patriotic you can find. But when it comes to business, and you look at the environment here in Canada, there's a Canadian lens that people look at when making investments or taking risks that is very different from the US lens. And I can give you a perfect example that's just like one of the most interesting experiences I think of my life was going to raise a round of capital in the most difficult climate this past summer and talking to a number of VCs in Toronto, in Montreal, on the West Coast, and then going to talk to VCs in New York, Boston, LA, San Francisco. You would walk into a pitch, because this was now back in person again. You would walk into a meeting. They had reviewed your deck. Typically, it was a warm intro. Like I wasn't actually like cold calling or cold pinging these folks. It was frankly warm intros from folks who've been watching Bear's growth and wanted a chance at the opportunity to partner with us on our kind of goal to take the home category. And I remember there's one slide in our deck, and it's our company vision. It's like to power all home and furniture transactions by 2030. That's the goal. We want to power this entire category within the next 10 years. It's a big fucking goal. Like it's a punch in the face, Neptune kind of goal. A US fund or a US investor who's made early bets on like Uber or Snapchat or Snowflake or Salsify,
whatever.
These fucking monster companies, behemoths in their space, they'll look at that and they'll be like, you're going to do that by 2030? How much money do you need to do that by 2025? Right? They're like, how much do you need to go faster? And like, what do you need? This is fucking cool. And like, if you said our goal is to power half the transactions, they'd say, how much do you need to power all the transactions? Right? You have the same conversation with Canadian funds for the most part. I don't want to generalize them all because we have two incredible in our cap table that operate and think like they're in the big leagues and they're phenomenal.
Yeah.
But the average run of the mill Canadian VC, dude, they're playing checkers because you show them that number. They're like, oh, that seems like a big goal. I don't think it's realistic. I don't think you can get there. Like maybe you should simmer down your expectations. I'm like, are you trying? What business are you in? Do you want a company to go public one day or have a massive exit? Or do you want me to go build a lifestyle business? You're in venture capital. Your LPs expect massive returns. So like that is that is honestly something that's really deep and wrong in Canadian venture today, and probably why. And there's probably some thematic stuff you experienced when you were fundraising where folks didn't get it. Anyway,
if George was here, George would give a lot of insight because we tried to raise and like we had big goals too. Like we were a social voting app. We're competing against fucking Twitter. You're competing against Snapchat. You're competing against fucking TikTok. Blew up over the pandemic too, right? So you're competing against them. We were.
Oh, dude, I keep messing up your sign, dude.
That's fine. So we were competing against them, which don't get me wrong, like we were different because it's a social voting app, right? You can vote and like we were trying to bring like objectivity back to social media and like get rid of like cancel culture and like just see what people really think. At the end of the day, people didn't care what people really think. They just care about like short form, quick entertainment. That's
Sure.
why TikTok fucking took over the world. And it still is taking over. I think every day TikTok's still the most downloaded app, like every fucking day still.
By far.
Like,
Also has a huge content deficit right now.
oh yeah.
So much being consumed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's there's a million reasons why we failed, but I want to ask you, in terms of fundraising, what was the most difficult part?
Thanks for the question.
I like that.
So I would say that I'll break it down into what was like the most fun and like the engaging part of raising capital, but also the most challenging thing when it comes to raising capital. So I'd say the most fun thing is that there are really highs and there are deep lows. Like the juice is worth the squeeze, but like you have to be okay with a ton of ambiguity. You have to be okay with being ghosted, with not hearing back when you think it was the best pitch of your life and you're like, what the fuck happened? I thought this was a shoo-in, and like crickets. And you have to like expect the unexpected. Fund is super fired up. They're moving forward, and all of a sudden, like partner on the investment committee kiboshes the whole deal, and like you have to look at your others. So like it's exciting if you like risk and you're comfortable with living in like a super awkward gray area for a long period of time. Because typically a fundraise takes months upon months. We did it fast. Like we did it within 1 quarter, which was just lightning given the conditions. But the most challenging stuff, dude, I don't know. I'm going to think about it for a second, but like when you were doing it, what were your biggest challenges?
So George led most of ours, but the biggest thing is trying to convince others to see the vision that we had. I think that was like a big thing because again, we wanted to make sure that. And I like how you did that, how you asked the question to give yourself time.
Thanks, bro.
I like that.
Also, fundraising tactic 101.
Yeah. So that was like one of the biggest parts for us, was trying to get others to see our vision and to try and like see what we saw. Like, there's a huge problem with social media in the sense today that if people want to share their honest opinions, they can't because they're scared of like reprisal, scared of like fucking getting canceled. They're scared of something, right? Like,
yeah.
There's so many times where even myself, I don't share my honest opinions on certain things because I'm like, fuck, I don't want Jenny from the office to know I said that. Like even some TikToks, sometimes I'm scared of posting some TikToks. I'm like, fuck, like I have a fairly like senior level job. Like I don't want people to see this like fucking cringe ass shit I'm posting. Or sometimes you don't want to fucking ruffle feathers, right? Like you don't want to start a fight because your cousin thinks this way, your neighbor thinks that way. So it's like, we see that there's an echo chamber online because you see, and I'm kind of rambling a little bit here, but you see a lot of people just sharing stupidity and then other people just yelling and screaming onto it. Like, I remember one time they were saying, let me get a good example recently of something stupid that people are jumping on, but like jumping behind right now. Can't think of anything, but
there's something every week, dude.
Yeah, there's something every week that people are yelling about it on Twitter, yelling about it on Facebook. Yeah, but it's like, okay, do people really believe that? Like, let's cancel. Yeah. But people are like, let's cancel the national anthem, right? The national anthem is bad for Aboriginals. Okay, well, do Canadians really fucking think that? Or is that just a small percentage of people that think that? So that was our goal, is just to like, hey, find out what people really think online. It was a big goal to obviously compete against those people. And we ultimately failed from a fundraising and a financial perspective, but it was a crazy journey to us, and ultimately we didn't raise the funds we were looking for, but we also weren't looking for $500,000. We were trying to raise $10, $20 million, $30 million, right? Again, dream big.
What year was this? Do you remember when you were doing it?
This would have been 2 years ago. Oh, no, sorry. So we started the company in 2020. We launched in early 2021. We were trying to raise late 2021, and we shut the business down.
So here's what's crazy about raising at that time. Top of the market.
Yep.
Frothiest, most grow at all costs, fundamentals out the window. We're going to pump you full of cash. I called the time of Infinite Bridge.
Well, this was around the time. What was that app with you speak in rooms?
Oh,
Clubhouse.
That's funny because Clubhouse, there's a lot of funny Clubhouse stories about how
Clubhouse raised what, like a fucking $500 million.
Sure, but
the big downfall.
One of the memes surrounding Clubhouse though, and like it's just like that, like one of their investors kept leading their next round and marking themselves up, which is just like the funniest thing ever. Like, ever seen Obama, the meme giving himself the medal? Very similar. Yeah. Like, it's just like, that's what happened. But the market has completely almost like normalized and reset over the last. So I know you're asking me about like the most challenging stuff surrounding fundraising, and I'm going to get into that. But there is a very specific memory I have that I don't think I'll ever forget, was when I set out to go raise our now round, right? The round that we announced, that the $14 million one. And it was, I think it was early June of last year. And I was going to kick off our roadshow in San Francisco. Had a bunch of meetings lined up with great folks that were excited to see me. They'd been living in my inbox rent-free for like a year, waiting for us to go like open the doors for a round. And what I also learned is that the less you communicate with folks ahead of a road trip and the less you let them know what you're up to, the more they want the deal. So like less is more, right? So I get on my flight to San Francisco. And for whatever reason, Air Canada like just didn't have Wi-Fi on board. Like classic. Like for whatever reason, no Wi-Fi, couldn't get anything done. I'm watching like reruns of Seinfeld that I had deep in my Netflix like archives. And I get to SFO and I open my phone and 1450, a bunch of text messages from like early angel investors and a bunch of like other CEOs that I know that like are on my advisory board or like have taken me under their wing. And it was this Y Combinator article that was circulated really widely that day about like doom and gloom, the market's changing, extend your runway, like minimize head count, like the super doom and gloom, the market is done, apocalypse now kind of article. And I'm like, fuck, this is what everyone is telling me. I'm about to hit an investor roadshow. Y Combinator is telling everyone to like stop and like pretty much like a huge like SOS mayday, watch out, markets are going to take a tumble. Like if you're a founder, like hold on to as much cash as you can. That was circulated to everybody in tech globally that day. And
like, fuck.
Dude, I have meetings the next morning and I'm like trying to raise a round. I'm like, this is going to be fucking Armageddon. I'm going to get my face punched in. I'm going to get my nose broken. I'm going to go home like with nothing to show for it. And I think I remember calling at the time one of our backers. I think it was Michael Litt, the CEO of Vidyard. Absolute beauty, early investor in Bear, and like has taken me under his wing as well. And he was just like, blinders on, buddy. Fuck it. Just blinders on, stay hyper focused. Good companies with good founders are always going to get funded. Like someone might be chatting, like blinders on and go. And that's what I did. I literally ignored the world, the media, Twitter storms, everything. Unplugged my Slack. I told my leadership team, if you need me, like send me a fax, like literally, like send me a wire if you need me. I'm going to come back. I'm not coming back until we have cash in bank. So I think the most difficult thing about raising capital this particular time was the crazy noise about the macro climate. Dude, everyone is talking about like reset your valuation expectations. Like don't raise that much capital because you're going to turn off investors. They're going to think that you're greedy when like the markets are getting bad. And I said kind of, no guys, I'm going to do this my way. Like, frankly, we're going to do it like the bears do. And like we have this saying at CommerceBear internally, which is like, if you're a bear, be cool, be casual, be bear. And literally that's what we did. Like went to market. We were super cool. We were super casual about it. But it was really difficult because there was a lot of noise. Everybody had an opinion, dude. You ask 10 people, you got 10 different perspectives. And as CEO, I mean, you know this, you run you're in the fan business. It's your job to listen to everybody around the table and then from that make the decision that you think is best. You can't listen to 10 people. Sometimes you listen to all 10. Sometimes you're like, nah, guys, you guys are out to lunch. Like, I appreciate the feedback. I hear you. Thank you for the feedback. Make them feel heard. Make them feel great, and do your own thing.
I 100% agree.
Anyway,
there's
sorry for the TED talk.
No, man,
it's like
I love
rambling
it. That's what we're
here.
here for. But that's what we're here for. My uncle always has a good one, and whenever people talk, because a lot of times you always get people like saying that their problems are the biggest problems in the company, or that this is the biggest thing, and this money needs to go here. And any boss or any like president, co-founder, owner, whatever, you got to look at the boxes. So this is one box. That's department one or shop one or person one. You got another box over here. You got another box over here. The boss is the big boss's job, the co-founder, the owner, whoever. You got to look at all those boxes. And then it's your job to determine what's actually the most important, or how can we, manage the damage, or how can we make the best decision based on all those boxes together. My uncle always says it because you hear people, in my business a little different. Sometimes you hear people bitch and you hear people like complain. You hear people say, oh, we need to do this, we need to do this, we need to do that. It's like, okay, well, if we don't do that, that is the least of our problems as a full company right now. Like, let's just chill for a bit. You take care of your box. I'll take care of these boxes. My boss is going to take care of all these boxes, and you'll fucking make do.
And that's the perfect analogy for or example of what I just spoke about regarding like deep alignment. If you don't have as a company, if everyone's not super aligned on like that top box, where are we going? Why are we going there? And like, frankly, why does it matter to our customer? Then like you shouldn't be doing it. And it's really easy today, if you don't understand what that top box is, to be like this sub box or this sub project or this other direction is like so important to me, but like they don't realize that the arrow is going this way and the company's going that way. So like alignment is tough, and getting people aligned is like the most challenging thing ever. Fortune 50 struggle with deep alignment. Like everyone does. So
Sam, Danny, what are we at?
110.
Okay, so we're good then.
We're good.
Sam, we'll save the rest for part 2. I want to ask this: the bear, where'd you get it?
Gift from an early investor.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's funny because like I used to say jokingly like, "Are you bullish on bear?" Like for those that understand the markets, it's a bit of a weird thing because bear is typically not great, right? But he gave it to me, and he's like, "Sam, I'm very bullish on bear. Here you go." Weird looking bear. Apparently, it's hand carved out of wood. It's been living on my desk for about a year now. And it's one of like 17 bears around the office of different sizes and such. It's pretty fucking funny.
I love it.
Yeah.
Man, this has been a good one.
This was fun, man.
I'm glad you came on. I'm glad we fought because we rescheduled this a couple times.
I know
one was you. No, one was
me.
us. One was us though, because that was when we kind of took a break and went through a rebrand. We realigned. We had to realign. Yeah. So now we're realigned again.
There's one more thing I want to add about the fundraise that I think is interesting, but if we're not good for time, I don't have to.
No, we're good. We're good.
It's dude, it's more like a bit of sprinkle fairy dust that like I don't think I've ever told, and anybody who like at CommerceBear is watching this is gonna love this part of the story, is that the market's super tough. Everyone's chit-chatting. Like you're trying to accomplish a relatively like sizable range for where we are, and like we want to like get something done that's meaningful for the business. And I'm thinking, how am I going to do this in a way that is like super like fast? I don't want to be fundraising for 12 months. Like I need to be back in the business as fast as I can operating. And I built a Trello board. Do you know what Trello is?
No.
It's kind of like Asana, or like it's like a software to manage projects, or like Monday.com. It's kind of like efficient, right? Or
no, I know Monday.
Or ClickUp. It's just like a place where you can like manage kind of a pipeline, or you can do whatever you want with it. Just a more effective way than Google Sheets or Excel. But you can share it with people. Like you could share and it gets interactive. So I went to our entire base of early angel investors who like are in no way, shape, or form, dude, involved in my business day to day. They're there when we need them. Some I never talk to unless they get like the investor update. And I also went to a bunch of like fellow CEOs that are like in on my advisory board. All these incredible people that have built sick companies and like have raised tons of capital through to exit. And I sent an email to everyone. I CC'd everyone, like not BCC. I literally it was an email to 20 people. Some kind of knew each other. Others were like, "Oh shit, he's on this list." And it was like, "Here's my ask, guys. I'm in SF. Crazy article came out. Shit's about to hit the fan. We're raising capital. Deck is attached. I have a Trello board. Please view it. And in the first column, I need you all to add every single investor that you know that you think would be good for CommerceBear." And I had them working. I would go in and see real time, like all the little icons. Like I had like these CEOs and these angel investors that have families and lives and they're running huge companies at like 9, 10, 11 p.m. responding all to the email thread. "Okay, I got this fund covered. Matt, can you intro so-and-so? Oh, I have a back channel. I know the partner. I play golf with his daughter." Like, and we created this like wild email thread where you have like the best software CEOs in Canada, like just absolute goats, who are all supporting Bear, again, rallying around that like collective mission and vision, like messaging each other. Like this thing took on a life, Ricky. And they're like making intros. The Kanban board starts filling up. We're like, intro made, intro coming, first convo had. Great. We're moving to third round now. Like we're now in diligence materials with the partners of the fund. And like, I get an email in the thread. "Oh, I know the partner at that fund. They led our Series A. I'm going to make the intro." And like what happened was I had like 21 other CEOs fundraising alongside me. It was fucking wild. And if it wasn't for them, like it takes a village, dude. And that was like, and I got feedback from some of our backers, like not to like pop my own chest, but just like for any other founder listening, is like we set the stage last summer of what the benchmark is of how you raise a round of capital, period. Like that's how you do it as a founder. You get everybody on your team.
Everyone
driving
aligned.
forward. That's it. Get everyone fucking working and hustling and like make them earn their return one day.
I love it.
Yeah, that's a great.
This was great.
That's
Man,
it.
Honestly, Sam.
Dude, thanks for having me.
No, thank you.
I appreciate it.
No, man, this is good. Well, the next time we do this, we'll do it. We'll do an update. Maybe even we'll do it. I guess I guess you're not doing a round for a little while, are you? Or when's the next round?
So TBD. We
Okay.
shall see. We are we have good runway to go build something really big, and we're just focused on executing right now, which is honestly a really good spot to be in, where we can just focus on executing. Like that is a huge like breath, exhale, go build, go do right by their customer, and like if like then we'll see what we want to do when we're ready, if we even need to, which is like a really good spot to be in.
Good. Well, we'll definitely do this again at some point. If people want to find out more about you, what you're doing, and and CommerceBear, where can they go? How can they find you? What's the best way?
Me personally,
You and the business.
Sam@CommerceBear.com.
Okay.
The business is CommerceBear.com. And I check my email every 30 seconds, unless I'm on a podcast. Socials at Sam Vlessing.
And CommerceBear
At CommerceBear. I think we have 200 followers because we're a vertical software company for furniture brands that don't know how to use socials.
I guess LinkedIn, you guys.
LinkedIn, CommerceBear, we're pretty good, but like also like our customers are like furniture slingers that don't know how to use socials. Yeah, my dad.
Your dad and your
my
uncle.
dad. My dad's a beauty. He's on TikTok with me once in a while.
Is he?
Yeah.
See, it's so funny. Like again, I feel like our dads are very similar. Like my uncle. My uncle's like very computer, like not savvy. Like I don't want to say illiterate, but like yeah, kind of.
Dude, I get it. He
comes up to me and he's like, Rick, I don't want this LinkedIn thing. Everyone asks to be my friend. I don't want it. I'm like, so ignore the email. Yeah, but I get more. Like I've got a lot of friends on LinkedIn. I'm like, you don't have LinkedIn.
Hilarious.
He's just like, can you just make it go? I was like, anyway, I can't. If people invite you, there's nothing I can do.
Just leave it.
Yeah. My dad spent a full day setting up his LinkedIn profile one day. Couldn't set up a picture though.
Dude, you want to laugh? I'm my dad's admin on his LinkedIn.
No.
Yeah, because I talk about my dad at work a bunch, and my dad's LinkedIn was like super sketchy, like no photo, 22 connections, like totally not real. I'm like, Dad, I'm gonna build up your LinkedIn, and like it looks so nice today. My dad, you're welcome.
I gotta set up my dad's.
Set up, make your parents look like beauties. It's the key.
I'm gonna set up Elaine's LinkedIn one day. My mom stay at home, right? I'm gonna set up her LinkedIn one day.
What's the job title?
Elaine's VP of acquisitions.
Yeah.
Yeah, at Metric. Yeah, because she obviously works there, right?
Okay.
Stay at home, works there. But VP of or asset manager.
VP of fun.
Yeah, she's got she got business cards too. line doesn't ring, but she's got business cards with the phone number.
=Ricky's number one fan.
Yeah, Ricky's number one fan.
Dude,
anyways,
thanks for having me. This was fun. This
was really good, guys. If you made it to the end of this, we appreciate you. It's good to have Danny back. Danny's first episode back, getting her feet wet back into things. Who knows? Maybe she'll come on camera next time. And other than that, we'll see you next week, guys. Cheers, pals.
You like to drink and to smoke to take away the pain, and I don't remember all of my mistakes and every high got alone with no one.